Next guest for the morning, Mr. RC Bhargava, Chairman of Maruti Suzuki, joins us. You can't get a better person to tell you about how the Indian economy is shaping up. Good morning, Mr. Bhargava. Thank you very much. Speaking about the economy shaping up, the numbers we got from your company for June were a little discouraging. Just about 1.8% sales up for that month. Are things slowing in both urban and rural India?
It's very difficult to make a prediction like this on 1 month's results because the numbers you get are all the wholesale figures and they don't necessarily reflect what's happening in the market. But having said that, the feedback I have is, yes, things are becoming a little bit more difficult in the market. I think the customers are deferring their purchases till at least part of the rainy season is over because many people seem to feel that buying cars when it's raining is not a good thing. I'm not sure why it makes a difference, but they seem to feel that. And there is a little bit of resistance which we're encountering now. But despite all that, I think we hope to be able to meet our 10% growth target for the year.
Okay. Mr. Bhargava, good morning. Yes, I was coming to that question about what your growth rate expectation is. You said that 10% could be perhaps doable, but between exports and domestic, where do you see higher amount of resistance, more pain?
At the moment, the resistance is largely in the domestic market. The export markets are doing all right. We are up to our target. We'll probably even maybe exceed our target because the Sri Lanka market is doing exceedingly well. And the numbers there will probably exceed what our budget figures were. But overall, I think exports will at least meet last year's figures, if not do better.
Okay, we got this news report that your premium cars won't have the Maruti tag. Is that true?
I've seen that today. I'm not sure at all at the moment.
I mean, it's not your decision. If anyone, you should know.
No, it's not my decision. The marketing people decide what's the...
Okay. Well, these technological problems happen. Digital India is still a vision. It's not a reality. So we do lose these connections. But we will dial in and get Mr. Bhargava right back with us yet again. The important point is he remains sanguine on the longer term growth, not even very long term, the year's growth target of 10%. It's perhaps only a passing discomfort like this connection that for this month the rains or some other excuse has kept sales at a slightly low ebb. But it's not to be read as a growing weakness or a lasting weakness in the Indian economy. That's important, and exports...
It's good to hear that some of these markets like Sri Lanka have recovered. 6 to 8 months back, if you remember, Sri Lanka was a big issue because of all the political upheavals that they had there. But now both the two-wheelers as well as the car makers are indicating that things have recovered in the Sri Lankan market. So that's very good to hear. But we await more details on what the new launches of Maruti will be that will aid to this 10% growth. Because like he said, for now the situation is looking very difficult and it's hard to push forward sales. Mr. Bhargava, sorry we had a bit of an issue with the connection, but if you can just tell us, this 10% growth that you're expecting, I'm sure a lot of it will come courtesy your new launches, and there's so much excitement about that. The latest one we're expecting is the FX4 Cross. Just tell us what the timeline of the new launches could be, and what can we expect from now until the end of the year?
The preliminary run-up to the X-Cross launch has already started. The media has already tested the car and is reporting on it. And I think the launch is scheduled for next month.
Okay. Yes, we saw it launched at the IFA Awards as well yesterday. Mr. Bhargava, when you say that you're expecting a 10% growth, how much of this is the growth of the economy or growth of the sector, and how much of it will be because you would have gained market share?
The industry as a whole, I'm afraid, is still not doing very well. And overall, the growth is nominal if you exclude Maruti from the growth of the whole sector. And going forward, there is still, I think, no indications that overall there will be a change in the trend of sales for the automobile industry as a whole. So if we do get our double-digit growth, which I expect will happen, I think it will probably lead to some increase in our market share.
Okay. Well, you have been managing market share very well. I just wanted to get some more color on what's happening in the rural markets, because when we spoke with you last, you had indicated that despite the monsoon volatility, you'll be able to see double-digit growth in the rural markets versus about 25% that you saw last year. Do you hold on to that assumption, and how are the markets now?
Yeah, the rural markets still haven't shown any adverse impact of anything happening so far, and they are proceeding very much as we had hoped they would. And I think we will certainly get we'll get higher growth in the rural areas than we will in the urban areas.
Okay. Higher growth in the rural areas. I just wanted to come to your expectations, as far as the margins are concerned, because although I understand that, Maruti has been holding on to very strong margins for many quarters now, there is a bit of a fear that this 15-16% may not be sustainable. And you are seeing a slowdown in some of the pockets, at least in the month gone by. But yes, 1 month is not a real, you can't really judge based on a month. But do you think this 15-16% margin that you've held on to will continue for a while?
We don't, Sonia, normally comment on margins at all. It's something which happens, but all I can talk about is the general factors which impact on margins. And the yen continues to be favorable. In fact, it has become a little weaker, if anything, over what it used to be, say, 6 months ago.
Oh, yes.
And that helps. Although the dollar has become stronger, which doesn't help. And commodity prices are still quite okay. They're really not hardened or in any way become adverse to us.
Okay.
In fact, steel prices have fallen, which is a big help to us. So that helps. If we reach our production target this year of something over 1.4 million, it will mean better capacity utilization than what we've had in the past, without any additional investments, and that certainly helps margins. The efforts at cost reduction, which have helped margins in the past years, continues and is working as well as ever. So that factor will remain favorable. So some of these factors still remain favorable. Now, the only thing which can really adversely affect us at this stage is if the market dips so much that our growth drops below the 10% market. That will certainly affect margins, because then we won't have the capacity utilization and other factors which I'm looking for.
All right, we leave it at that, Mr. Bhargava. Pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Practically, I think the market just got a bit of a jitter when he said that at the moment I don't know why people are not buying in the rains. But otherwise, just about everything he said was positive with respect to the sales of Maruti itself. As we wind down on Bazaar.
Sorry, I just wanted to mention that even last year they had a 10% growth and they outperformed their growth. They did about 12 to 15 odd %. So they are generally a very conservative company, because they don't want to
overpromise
and under-deliver. So I guess that's something that they hold on to. 10% growth overall. Rural sales will also be double-digit, and exports are doing very well, as they said, in some of their markets like Sri Lanka.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Mr. Bhargava has been traditionally maintaining for some time now that rural markets are not the dismal picture that the media tends to paint because of incidences of farmer suicides. While that is a tragic event that should not be merely extrapolated and given the impression that the rural markets or a dump, it's actually doing very well. Well, as we wind down on Bazaar, the Sensex and the Nifty are certainly not doing very well. It's a 0.7% downtick, but it's a little distance away from the lowest point both those indices reached in the early morning trade. So just a little bit of discontent is being registered at this point in time, but the mid-caps are seeing some standout performances.